Hello everyone, this is Navya from class HS3 of Arvind International Residential School, Kunigil. I am going to explain about Biology chapter Control and Coordination in this video. Firstly, the neurons. The structural and functional unit of nervous system is called as neurons. In animals, nerve system and hormonal system plays an important role in control and coordination. In plants, control and coordination is done by chemical substances called plant hormones and phytohormones. Coordination in animals. In animals, control and coordination is done by the nerve system and endocrine system. The nerve system is an organ system containing a network of specialized cells called neurons. Types of nerve system. Central nerve system CNS, it includes brain and spinal cord. Peripheral nerve system PNS, it includes somatic nerve system. It is also known as voluntary nervous system and associated with the voluntary control of body movements. It includes cranial nerves and spinal nerves. Cranial nerves, 12 pairs arise from the brain. Spinal nerves, 31 pairs arises from spinal cord. Autonomic nerve system, ANS. It is also known as involuntary nervous system, in which sensory and motor neurons plays an important role. It is divided into sympathetic nerve system and parasympathetic nerve system. The junction between two neurons or with muscles is called synapse. Messages pass through the nerve cell in the form of chemical and electrical signals called nerve impulse. The dendrites receives the information and starts a chemical reaction which produces electrical impulse which passes through the axon. Reflex action is a sudden, unconscious and involuntary response to the effector to a stimulus. We suddenly withdraw our hand if we suddenly touch a hot object. In this reflex action, the nerves in the skin receptor detects the heat and passes the messages through the sensory nerves to the spinal cord. Then the information passes through the motor nerves to the muscles of the hands and we withdraw our hands. The path of reflex action is called reflex arc. In the reflex arc, the stimulus is received by the receptors and it passes through the sensory nerves to the spinal cord. From the spinal cord, the information passes through motor nerves of the effectors for the response. The brain plays no action as the reflex action takes place at the level of spinal cord, but later brain is informed by the spinal cord and then later the thinking part of the action is done by brain. But brain is not active during a reflex action. So let us see difference between the reflex action and walking. Reflex action. It is inborn, involuntary, means automatic and required for survival and protection. Walking. It is acquired by learning under control of brain, means voluntary and for various functions. The brain is the main coordinating center in human body. It is protected by cranium. The brain has three main parts. They are forebrain, midbrain and hindbrain. Forebrain, it is the thinking part of the brain and controls voluntary actions. It controls touch, smell, hearing, taste, sight, mental activities like thinking, learning, memory, emotions, etc. Midbrain controls involuntary actions and reflex movement of head, neck, eyes, etc. Hindbrain consists of cerebellum, pons and medulla. Cerebellum controls body movements, balance and posture. Pons control respiration. Medulla controls heartbeat, blood pressure, swallowing, coughing, sneezing, vomiting and other. The spinal cord starts from the brain and extends through the vertebral column. It has 31 pairs of spinal nerves. It carries messages to the brain and from the brain it also controls reflex actions. Coordination in plants. In plants, control and coordination is done by chemical substances called plant hormones and phytohormones. There are 5 main types of plant hormones, mainly 3. They are auxins, gibberellins, cytokinins. Firstly, Auxins help in cell division, cell elongation, and growth. Gibberellins help in growth of stem and branch, seed germinations, etc. Cytokinins help in cell division, formation of fruits and seeds. Movements in plants are of two main types. They are tropic movements and nastic movement. Tropic movements are directional movements towards or away from the stimulus, and it depends on growth. They are of different types like phototropism, geotropism, chemotropism, isotropism, etc. Firstly, phototropism. It is the movement of plant in response to light. If it is towards light, then it is called positive phototropism. For example, bending of shoot towards light. If it is away from light, then it is called negative phototropism. Example, bending of root away from light. Geotropism is the movement of plants in response to gravity. If it is away from gravity, it is called negatively geotropism, and if it is towards gravity, it is called positive geotropism. Chemotropism is movement of plant in response to chemical stimuli. Example, growth of pollen tube towards the ovule. Hydrotropism is the movement of plant in response to water. Example, growth of roots towards water. The endocrine glands are also known as ductless gland. The endocrine glands produce chemical substances called hormones, and it directly diffuses into blood and reaches the target organ. The endocrine glands in our body are pineal, hypothalamus, pituitary, thyroid, parathyroid, thymus, pancreas, adrenal, testes, and ovaries. Thyroid glands. A pair of glands present in neck region which forms thyroxine hormone in response of TSH of pituitary. Thyroxine hormone. Thyroxine controls the metabolism of carbohydrates, fats, and proteins and helps in proper growth. If the diet is deficient in iodine, it causes deficiency of thyroxine leads to cause the goiter, in which enlargement of thyroid glands causes the swelling of neck. The goiter disease are generally found in people living in northern sub-Himalayan areas where the diet are deficient of iodine. Hence, one must take the iodized salt. Parathyroid glands. Two pair of parathyroid glands which are close to thyroid glands. It secretes the parathormone which required to control the calcium and phosphorus. Thymus gland. It is present near the heart and secretes the hormone thymosin. It is required for maturation of lymphocytes which required for immunity. Pancreas. It is heterocrine gland. It has two types of cells, beta cells and alpha cells, which forms hormones insulin and glucagon respectively. Insulin. Beta cells secretes the insulin hormone which controls the blood sugar. The excess of blood sugar converted into glycogen and stored into liver. The deficiency of insulin hormone causes the disease diabetes, and glucagon alpha cells secretes the glucagon hormone which convert glycogen into glucose during starvation. Testes. In male, a pair of testes present which act as heterocrine glands. It's stimulated by FSH and ICSH of pituitary gland. Ovary. In female, a pair of ovaries present. In response of FSH and maturation of ova takes place. This maturing ova forms the hormone estrogen. It is required for the development of secondary sexual character.